This one has the I don't know how to say it, but it sounds good.
Okay.
Damn, there's 15 grams of sugar in this?
Trust me.
Who the was that guy?
I don't know. I think he played quarterback or something.
We're live, Big J.
Get my hydration after my early workout today. All right, so welcome back, YouTube. We're gonna do a little segment today because of the requests we've been getting. I want to answer some of the fan questions because we do get a lot of comments, and lately I appreciate everyone's been kind of engaging on there. And I asked Dave to go through and we've got a few questions. I gather a few questions, and we're gonna try to do this every month or two. We're gonna try to get on and answer some of the questions. So. I'll mention the names that I do have on some of the questions. David Johnson, you are one of our supporters. I just want to say you just commented on our bulking versus lean bulk, okay? I have 2 weeks left on your Get Shredded program. He said, great video, Jay, by the way. And my body fat is currently around 10.7%, which is actually really good. So I want to really focus on adding lean muscle with no body fat. I was wondering how to program to cut the carbs back into my diet and how fast to add them back in. Thank you. I enjoy your videos. So that's the thing is what I usually do is this is something similar to me after, so basically, I shred down for the contest, okay, for the Mr. Olympia, Arnold's, or whatever show it was. And basically we have to go back to coming back and bringing the body weight back up, but not retaining a ton of body fat. And unfortunately, you get 3 or 4 months after, you get back to basically off-season mode, which gives you enough cushion. But at the same time, you can manipulate how much body fat or water retention you hold by adding carbohydrates. What I would recommend is slowly adding them then around the training or around first thing in the morning meals where your metabolism is a little faster, or when your activity is at its highest, which, like I mentioned, is around the training. But what I like to do in my routines is when I'm coming back after a show, my breakfast, the meal before and after training, are the higher carbohydrate meals where I actually scale back on the other meals and focus mainly on protein. Now remember, I usually follow a lower fat content diet, so I don't necessarily add fat. So you people out there that have your almond butter or your nuts or flax or whatever else with your meals, that's not something that I particularly did, and it's not something that I usually suggest to a lot of people because you get, fats from, I have 2 whole eggs in the morning, and I have my meats like my chicken, some red meat, whatever I have in my program, and because I eat enough protein because of my body weight was so high, that allows me to stay away from, a lot of the higher fats additive into my program. Not to say that it's not. Everyone has to find what works best for them, but I always suggest start adding the carbs in on those higher active meals around that time of day, and you can slowly progress body weight up without holding a lot of body fat. Now, what I suggest is, what I'm going to finish with, try to take pictures every week or 2 weeks, same position, same poses, so you can watch how your body reacts, not only by the scale, but look at how your body composition changes. And if you see your body expanding, putting on body fat or fluid retention that you do not necessarily feel comfortable with, then you can scale them back. That means you're pushing the envelope too high. So that's why I said take the pictures every 7 days. The pictures tell the story, not the scale. And I think that's the best result. So David, I hopefully that answers your question. So another question from All Day Elite is his handle on YouTube. Mr. Cutler, I met you once at Powerhouse in Chicago. My most memorable moment was meeting you. My question is, why is it harder to bring up the legs and maintain delts in your 40s? Thanks, champ. Good question. I think, a lot of us, depending on when you start training, I mean, that's not always the case. But someone like me, I know for me, when I retired and I stopped obviously taking the anabolics that I was using and eating the amounts of food, I definitely lost some of that fullness. Now, I think you need a certain amount of consistent calories that are going to allow you to consistently make those progress. But I think listen, the muscle age is just something that we all can't avoid. I think you can. There's a lot of people well into their 40s that started later. Say if they started training at 35, they can actually have muscle definition that is growing, tremendously. But definitely someone who starts off a lot younger and builds their bodies to extreme like I did, the only place it can go is back down, unfortunately. But I still feel the right type of training, the right nutrition, and obviously the rest patterns, and just finding what routine works best for you, you can grow. So I'm going to actually say that I don't think the age matters. I think you can progress, you can get full, you can get bigger. You just need to find the right systematic approach that fits you, whether it's high volume, low volume, how you're handling the time under tension, whether it's high reps, low reps, short rest periods, longer rest periods. I mean, everyone has their different sense. Now, for me, if I was trying to, definitely add caps to my shoulders or bigger legs, the meals would definitely increase calories each meal. The intensity of training, I would definitely pound out more repetitions, even doing ladders for the shoulders, meaning like, you're going to do drop sets so you can basically, go down the dumbbell stack doing side laterals, from a higher weight to a lower weight. There's a lot of ways that you can do it, but I think you just need to be patient with that, and it can happen, okay? All right, another one. So comment on YouTube. Tom Mahan says, when is the next charity camp? I want to take my son. He went to his first NPC event, and he won both in the teen divisions. Make-A-Wish Foundation is one of the best. So we just had our charity camps in Vegas that was on the YouTube channel. I think it's 1 or 2 videos back. I don't know when the next one is. I always spoke it was going to be every 2 months. I think definitely right now, I'm traveling extensively. I have put most of my weekends booked through October. So we may look at November, but we could also possibly look in December when the Olympia is. But ideally, I'd like to say November, maybe the next one. We just have to plan months ahead. I'll advertise probably this one. I did not advertise the charity camps this time because just in the community for Cutler Club, I didn't even need to. I just mentioned it, and we had our 8 people. We actually limited 6 in the beginning, but we allowed 8 for this one. And it's going to give me a better feel. I think the next camp, they will get better and better as I progress because we'll get back in that rhythm. And, we talked about doing it back in 06 and 07, and, we've actually migrated, and we've had a lot of better changes since then. So I would definitely love to see your son come up and work out with me and hopefully learn a trick or two that will take him from the teen division bodybuilding to, who knows where, maybe the Olympia stage. So Davis Realty asked also, how come you never have your family on there and talk about your mom and dad and siblings? It's very important to keep your family close unless you're not close with your family.
I'll vouch for that one too. I like that one. That's a good question.
What's funny is, I have 3 brothers, 3 sisters. My dad unfortunately passed last year. My mom is 81. Dave, who's behind the camera, is very familiar with my mom. They live in Massachusetts, so it's really hard. We've talked a million times, and Dave can attest this. You can even speak a little bit on this. We've been talking about going back and filming some and putting where I came from, the roots.
That would be great.
And Dave has visited actually where I grew up. He's actually seen my home, but my brother's crazy work, my sister's crazy work. Listen, I appreciate people wanting to see them on there. It's just that they're not in the bodybuilding field. Like, they came to a lot of the shows. They came to the Arnold Classics. My dad and my mom came to all the Olympias. My dad was obviously living in Vegas for a while. If you look back on some of our older videos on the channel, you'll see my dad on there. My mom's on there.
Yeah.
Maybe my sister's even on there. But, we're not... My brothers, we don't converse a lot because they work constantly. They have young kids, grandkids now. So, for me, it's just... I kind of did this thing on my own. I was the only one out of 7 kids that stepped out and actually did the bodybuilding thing, and they were super supportive as I got into my career. So I don't want you to think, I don't have a relationship with them. it's just hard. My mom doesn't get on a plane to fly here anymore, so you can look on my Instagram, you can see pictures of her on there, but I'll take that into account. So if we do go back, I want everyone to see the genetics.
What Olympias did they come that we actually took that picture with all your family? Do you remember? Was it 05?
Probably, yeah.
Your whole family was there.
No,
it was a great
06
picture.
maybe.
Was it? It was. I remember there was one Olympia. They were all there. It was
My
awesome.
brothers came and
yeah,
stuff,
everyone.
Yeah, it might have been 05 or 6.
That was a great picture. Yeah.
I'm sure it's on, like somewhere in the background,
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so a couple of the other questions I just pulled off Instagram. So, people wanted me to talk about the Olympia coming up. They wanted to talk about Michael Crizzo, and I just actually was just talking about Andrew Jack. So, expectations for Olympia, man, there's a lot of guys qualified now, and we're seeing new people pop up every week. You got to see this Michael Crizzo, who is not even in the Olympia. He hasn't even got his pro card yet, but I expect him to possibly make a run and be able to be on that stage. But, right away, we have returning champ Big Ramy. Brandon Curry was second, Hadi Chupin third, Hunter was fourth, Nick Walker fifth, I think sixth was William Bonnick maybe, and then, Ian was seventh last year. Listen, man, those are your guys. Those are your guys you're looking at. I don't know. I think there's going to be a mix-up in that group, but I still think those are your front runners for the contest. Will there be any breakthrough guys? We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of good talent. You got Nathan DeAsher, who's no one's talking about. He's coming to do it. You've had many other guys in there. Off the top of my head, Charles Griffin. He's this guy Andrew Jack. Is he going to qualify?
He's competing this weekend, so we have to watch out for him.
I think I expect Walker to really push this year. I think if Hunter can figure out a little better conditioning, he really could be a big problem. And listen, Hadi's he's been overseas, and Ramy's overseas, and we know Brandon's got the capability. Can he be the first to come back since me to lose the title and come back to win it? We love to see that happen because, listen, we love history. As much as we love to see Ramy win, could Hadi Chupin be another short bodybuilder like Dexter Jackson to win the Olympia? Man, I'm a fan of all these guys. Like I said, I wish I could go to the show and change out each one of their shirts in the audience and be able to support all of them. But, we'll see. It's in December. Make sure you guys mark your calendars the week before Christmas, and it's here, which is really great. So we don't have to travel far this year, and I look forward to seeing it. So that's kind of my take. We'll get our predictions as we get a little closer. But hardest prep I had versus the easiest for a contest.
That's a good question.
Okay. Hardest prep I would say is. I would say 99 Olympia was pretty hard because I was training in Massachusetts. I was living out of a very small apartment. I had literally a mattress on the floor. I had outdoor furniture as my kitchen table. Okay, because I was in the transition. I was moving in November to California, and I was still trying to keep my life steady, living out of a 4-month rental apartment. In the meantime, when I was getting ready to move, and it was really difficult to focus on the prize, and my expectations were really high going in. And if you remember, the first DVD, which was a cut above, was actually filmed during that time, and I never allowed anyone to come into my home at that time, and that was very uncomfortable for me because I had to basically do all the shooting at the gym. We went to Maine to see Chris Aceto. And then if you remember, I finished the video when I moved to California in 2000 to the condo that I had bought. So I actually didn't want people to see. I was embarrassed that I was in transition, and I didn't want to bring people into my living arrangements at the time. So I think that was a really hard prep for me. Definitely 2009, coming back after losing the title and everyone writing me off. That was an uncertain preparation, even though that was one of my best showings ever. I think, that was a really difficult time for me because my head was a little mixed up on, okay, was I going to make the impact that I thought I could? But as I got closer to the end, the conditioning and everything was there. Easiest prep. 2006 Olympia, because I knew going into that show I was going to win that contest, and it was the only show that I did not take any diuretics for. So Dave can attest this because he was there filming it. Man, it was easy, wasn't it?
Oh my God.
I mean, 3 weeks, 2 weeks out, the pictures, everyone knew I was coming to win that title.
God.
So we kind of knew, and it gives me that feeling when I talk about it, because we talk about high points in your career. And when I worked from 18, I had a dream at 12, but when I worked from 18 to I won that title at 33, man, I never thought my life would change from a second place bodybuilder to becoming the best in the world. And man, did it change. I mean, I was booked up like crazy, and that victory, like when I walked in a room, like it changed people's demeanor towards me. And I think that prep, though, I knew rolling the whole time. I was big, I was hard, and I knew I was going to do extremely well. So that was a really good point for me. Most influential person in your career, who was that? I mean, listen, early on it was like Stallone, Arnold, Van Damme, like those are my heroes. That's how I kind of started. Now, I didn't personally know those people. Eventually got to meet all of them, and I had a position in my life. But I would probably say, first of all, my dad and my brothers were huge inspirations, because they worked extremely hard. They kind of taught me the dedication. I always mention that. Not to say my mom and my sisters weren't part of that journey. Carrie, who obviously was my girlfriend that I married at the time, and she was super supportive. But early on, Joe Weider, Ed Connors, Peter McGuff, Steve Weinberger, Jim Mannion. I mean, the list goes on and on. There was a guy that kind of taught me a lot about business early on. He passed away a few years ago. His name was Bruce Vartanian. He kind of took me under the wing and kind of taught me the business sense. I owe a lot of credit to him. But, I mentioned like Joe Weider would sit and talk to me about real estate, investing, how to become a better person after bodybuilding. Ed Connors gave me the opportunity to train at Gold's Gym. He gave me a home to stay in, took me to dinners, introduced me to people, had a lot of belief in me. Peter McGuff, another one, pulled for the biggest deals for me with contracts, made sure my situation was right. I mean, looked after you, Dave. I mean, just a good person. I mean, Jim and Steve, as far as head people in the organizations, Jim, he always looked out for me in a sense, and Steve Weinberger became my business partner, one of my closest friends, who now, of course, we've done great things together. He's a big figurehead in bodybuilding, best gym in the whole country, powerhouse gym out there in Syosset. Great people, but without all those people in my life, I wouldn't have been as successful in bodybuilding and be able to achieve the greatness and hold it as long as I did. So big shout out to them. And you always have those people that support, and I can't say the people that always wished badly on me, which I don't think there's that many, but I think those people gave me motivation too. So I want to shout out all the people that doubted me to turn pro or to win the Olympia or win it multiple times, and continue to have the success later on. I want to say, thank you for that opportunity. So I hope you guys liked the questions we had. Make sure you guys comment below if you guys want me to answer maybe one of your questions on the next Jay Talks series on this YouTube channel, and we'll keep watching for you. We'll have a lot of great questions between now and the next one, and if you guys want to chime in, please make sure you guys comment below, like the video, share the video, leave us a nice comment, even if you just don't want to ask a question. But keep training hard, keep focused, and we'll see you at the next one. We're out for JayTV.